This morning, one of the largest food workers union in the U.S. is pushing to label grocery employees as first responders. This after at least 30 union members have now died from the coronavirus, thousands more directly impacted. Joining me now to discuss, Marc Perrone. He's the president of the United Food and Commercial Workers International Union. Marc, thanks so much for taking the time this morning. Tell us what this first responder designation would mean for grocery store workers. What protections would it give them?
Well, first of all, it's going to give them access to testing and rapid response results to the test. And I think that's imperative if, in fact, we're going to slow the transmission of the disease down within those stores as well as within our communities that we operate in. In addition, it's going to give them access to get in the queue to receive personal protection equipment, which has been very difficult to do because at this point in time, all that personal protection equipment is being, sent into areas like hospitals and or EMT. Now, we solidly support that. We really do. However, when that protection equipment becomes available, we'd certainly like to see it in our stores. In some cases, some of the governors have already done that, and in some cities, they've already done it.
I want to ask you this because there's been some reporting, and I've spoken to some people involved, that when grocery employees have tried to organize in the midst of this, try to get union representation to get more protections like the ones you're talking about, they've been pressured not to, including by companies such as Trader Joe's. Have you seen this on a broad basis, and what's your reaction to that?
Well, we have seen it. We've had reports from Trader Joe employees as well as Sprouts employees. We've had contacts from people from Whole Foods where they were not allowed, when they started asking questions about personal protection equipment, they weren't given the same sort of freedoms that I think that our members have been given. Of course, we've been advocating for our members, so I guess there can be some anonymity in our membership that they don't have to necessarily ask for it. They ask us, and we ultimately have the conversations with all the employers. Now, I would tell you that our employers have been very good, whether or not it's been Kroger or whether or not it was Albertsons, Safeway, or Ahold. They've been very forthright about coming forward and trying to get the personal protection equipment. In some cases, they lost the equipment to other countries like Italy, because we are in a system, since there's no federal, guidelines as how they're going to control that supply. Things have been going to the highest bidder, as we've heard some of the governors report. So I think that's been a challenge. I think it's the same thing as it relates to the testing. And we think that the CDC honestly could have done a better job on the front end. If the CDC had said, look, we think that people should fashion their own masks and people should wear them into the stores. If I have one on and you have one on, then there's a less of a likelihood that we're going to transmit the virus to each other. And I think that was a big mistake. I think it sent the wrong signal. I understand why they did it.
Early warnings
they did it because
across the board would have made a big difference. I want to ask before you go, hazard pay. Is that something that you're looking for now for grocery workers, given the increased exposure they have?
Well, yes, and I think here's the real reason. If you talk to an investor or you talk to anybody in business and you ask them the following question: if risks go up, what is your expected rate of return? Your expected rate of return is to go up as well. And so since our workers and all grocery workers, whether or not they're union or they're not union, are at a greater risk today than they were, say, 8 months ago. And under those circumstances, do I think that they should receive hazard pay or appreciation pay or whatever kind of pay you want to call it? The answer is yes, I do, because they're taking more risk every single day.
Understood. Well, listen, we wish them the best of luck. When I go shopping, I'm always amazed at the work they do, and they are exposed. Marc Perrone, thanks for your time.